Welcome to the Practice Impossible podcast, where your host, Jude Pierre, MD, also known as Coach JPMD, discusses medical practice topics that will guide you through the maze that is the business of medicine and teach you how to increase profits and help populations live long. Your mission, should you choose to accept, is to listen and be transformed. Now, here's your host, Coach JPMD.
So, welcome to the Practice Impossible podcast with your host, Coach JPMD. That's me. And today we have a special guest, a guest that has been with me for several years. And it's more of an inspirational episode, I think, because about a year ago, Michelle Lynch, our guest today, showed me something that really touched my heart. And I said, you know what, how do I share this story? How do I share this so that other people can hear it, so that physicians can see it's not just us as physicians that are struggling, it's the rest of our staff and the people that we work with, the people that we lead. And for me, it was an inspirational story, and I hope it's an inspirational story for you. So I'm not going to give the whole story because I'll let Michelle do that. And Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know who you are and what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. So my name is Michelle Lynch, 43 years old, and I've been with Dr. Jude Pierre for going on 7 years in November. Been a medical assistant for about 20 years. So I've seen a lot of different things, exciting things, not so exciting things, but been in the medical field for a very long time. Still enjoy doing it.
I don't know if I knew about the 20-year thing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you really been in
Yeah.
Was it always in Florida, or was it? I think you're from Tennessee, right? Because that's
No. Technically, no. Nope, not from Tennessee, from Tampa, Florida, town and country area. Lived there all my life. But no, yeah, I have lived in Tennessee for 8 years. So I've been a medical assistant there in Tennessee as well. And like I said, been a medical assistant for general practice, internal medicine, and always in a doctor's office.
Yeah. So I know that you've embarked on a new journey, and that's to be an LPN. So tell me about that journey. And why did you decide to do that?
Yes. So I have been wanting to be a nurse for a very long time. And as life gets in the way, certain things happen. Children come along. You stop your dreams and you make sure you take care of the family. They're number one. And so it's always been the children. And now that they are grown and doing their own thing, now it's Michelle's turn. So finally embarking on what I've been wanting to do, and being this far, I'm close. So, and again, with things stop starting, and now I'm finally going, full force with it.
Yeah. So how many more years do you have? Or is it more months?
Until December. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Fingers crossed. It's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's been difficult, but
yeah,
I'm making do.
That's awesome. So, we have to ask the question. You're a medical assistant, no need to be an LPN. This is a Practice Impossible podcast where we teach physicians the business of medicine. And so why are you here? Why do you think you're here?
To tell my story, being as a medical assistant. Pay grade's different. We do our best. And with the teaching and the knowledge, like I said, or when we've had our meetings at work, having the Dave Ramsey communication, the book, have you read the book? And kind of like, okay, what is Dr. Pierre talking about? Why is he beating this into our heads? There's got to be something that he knows that he's trying to tell us, and it's knowledge. And, you have to read the book to know what it's about, but we're so hard-headed and so set in our ways that, that sounds weird.
Yeah.
Trying to save money, that sounds weird.
Yeah. Trying to pay off debt.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That's weird.
Yeah. So, for me, it started when you came to me after a couple of years of me, I guess, pounding or beating you guys up.
Preaching. Yeah.
It was preaching. You came to me with a picture of something from Carvana. And I was pretty much floored because I was like, okay, what is this? Did you really do this? So can you share that day with me?
Yes.
Or with us?
So because we were wanting to get rid of a debt and get rid of a payment, which was way too much, we finally decided, okay, let them take the car, let them get it. And that saved, us a good amount. And just finally, getting rid of that car payment and just excited to tell you and show you, like, look, what you've taught us and what you've talked about, it's sinking in. And we finally made that decision to get rid of that payment. The money saved, we were able to buy a car that was cash and no more debt.
That's wonderful. And that's what inspired me, because, sometimes or at least I do things in the office, and sometimes I'm not 100% sure if I'm clear and if I'm being more of the command and control boss and that I think I was, and I probably still am at some point. I just read the book by Stephen Covey. It's called, and I'll share that book with you guys in the show notes. But command and control versus trust and inspire boss, or trust and inspire leader. And it's never, that was verification to me, or that was a validation that I did have some impact on my team members. And that's what I invite others. I invite physicians to understand that they have a role, a leadership role in the practice, that they can help transform lives, just like they can transform their patients' lives. But I think if you can transform your team members' lives in a positive way, that will in turn lead to better patient care, less stress. And now you're debt free. And, it's a wonderful thing. And I think once you get to that point, if you haven't gotten there, I think the freedom that you have is like no other. So tell me about the steps. I mean, you mentioned Dave Ramsey, you mentioned, things the books, which I'll also reference as well. Tell me about the baby steps. So what did you find intriguing or compelling to do it?
To just to have the $1,000 in your emergency fund. I mean, just having that. Now, I'm going to say it's not easy. I mean, this is not it's not something that you can just flip the switch and it works. It takes time, it takes dedication, but mainly the $1,000 in your emergency fund, just to have that, and you have a flat tire, or you've got to go, I don't know, we had to buy a new dishwasher, and guess what? Cash and savings, no credit card. That was intriguing to me, just to have that small amount. It helps wonders. And that's just the first step. And when you follow the rest of the steps, and it just become easy. But like I said, for me, the most intriguing was the $1,000 in the savings account. And, something comes up, oh, credit card, I don't have it, but I've got the cash. And that's been our motto, is cash is everything. If we don't have the money for it in the account, we don't need it, or we wait till we save up the cash to get it.
Yeah. And that's something that I learned into the steps as well. And I know this sounds like an infomercial for Dave Ramsey, but it's really a stepwise process of getting out of debt and living freer. And to hear Michelle go through it, and to hear all the people that I've helped go through it, is just, for me, is inspiring. And it also helps you stay connected with your spouse. So what did it mean to you, your family, and your life, and getting to that point where you're able to follow simple steps and get to where you are?
Yep. So like I said before, it's not it takes conversations. It takes, to get that, the Dave Ramsey book, to have him, read it, to have the kids read it. It was a little hesitation, because again, we're conditioned in a society that in order to get something that you don't need, you need to have a credit card. And if you don't have the money, you need a credit card. So we've learned and had conversations. We've got rid of the credit cards, but yet having conversations with your spouse, talk to them, let them see your side of the story. Then of course you want to hear their side of the story, and you want to let them know that this is a good thing. It's not a bad situation. You just have to get each other compromise, have a conversation. The kids, when we started it, they were older, so they understood. They would make fun of us every, now and then, oh, we got to get cash. Cash is king. I'm like, yeah, if you don't have the cash, then you don't need it. But it's been fun. The kids, they understand, they don't have credit cards now. They're working, money they have. If they need something, it's cash. So little baby steps again, but it just takes a conversation, family talking to each other, and know the pros and cons on both.
Yeah. And of course, I have to mention that we do have a guest that also spoke a lot of these things in the podcast. I can't remember if it was episode 3 or 4. I'll reference that. It was with Sonia Palomino. She was my financial coach that helped me through the steps as well. So of the process, how it affected you, what would be the thing that your kids saw in you what was their reaction? Was it more crazy? Was it fun? Or was it confusing, hesitant? What would you say?
Well, like I said, like they would kind of like make jokes, make fun. Oh, cash is king. Or, we would say, well, we can't get that because it's, we don't have the cash for it. But like I said, they're older, so they understand. And like I said, when we're trying to tell them not to get the credit card, and again, they're not going to, as far as in my house, but whatever they do outside,
Sure.
I can't tell them what to do.
The best you can do is inspire them to see how you're living.
Yep.
And if they see how you're living free of, all the pressures of paying off stuff, then I certainly think it's definitely was positive impact on my kids. And so why do you think it's hard for physicians? Why do you think it's hard for other people to do the same thing that you did?
Probably because they don't have somebody that can tell them about it. Maybe they're just set in their ways. Like I said before, the society is telling you need a credit card in order to buy something. So they don't have maybe that somebody on their shoulder saying, hey, you probably don't need that, or have the surroundings of people. If there's like a whole group of people spending money and you don't want to be left out, you want to spend money because they're spending money. You don't want to be the naysayer and be like, no, I don't want to spend the money because, I'm frugal. You might be an appearance type thing. They just don't.
And there's a big pressure.
Yeah, pressure.
And there's a big pressure. There's a big pressure on the banking side as well, because it kind of hit me a couple weeks ago, and I probably should have realized this. But even if you have a credit card and you don't use the credit card, or when you use it, you pay it off, the credit card companies always make money, whether you carry a load or carry a debt load, or if the merchant pays a service fee to that credit card company to be able to accept that card. So some of the fees are 2.9%, 2.5%. So every time you swipe that card, that bank is making money off of the swipe and also off of your interest if you carry a balance, which is something that I think people should kind of be aware of, because there's really no incentive for us to.
Speaking of that, we're constantly getting credit card things in the mail. Well, this one is a premier credit card that we got. My husband went and opened it, took it out, and went and took our son, said, look, 16% interest rate, and you $400 credit line, annual fee of $99 that they take from that card on top of 16%. And then he's explained to him, see, this is why you don't want a credit card, because they're charging you $200 already that you haven't even got to use. So it's
absolutely right. Absolutely right. You mentioned something. I briefly heard you say something about the Geico story that was actually pretty interesting, because once you start on this process and you see where your monies are going through budgeting and through, just communication, tell me about the Geico story.
So last week, just got a letter in the mail letter in the mail from Geico stating that the premiums are increasing for the next 6 months. Well, the last 6 months, they were at $393 a month for 6 months. And so with what I saw, what it was increasing to for $414 for the next 6 months, comes to like 20 something hundred for 6 months of car insurance. And my husband's like, let's figure this out. So he went on, I think on Progressive, got a quote for car insurance and was able to get it to be $115 a month for 6 months. And we're like, sign us up. So we're good drivers, nothing too bad, tickets or anything. But it's like, we're driving from work to home, and there's no reason that we have to spend that extra $300 on insurance that I'm driving 20 minutes to work. He's driving an hour, but still there's no reason to pay an extra $300. So that's going to go right into the checking account.
And that's what happens when you start paying attention. That's exactly what happens. And you'll find lots of things like that when you actually start looking at your budget and looking at things differently. So, you've been on an awesome journey. You've obviously done very well, and I'm so proud of you. So happy for you to pursue your career, what you wanted to do as an LPN. So what would be the one thing that you would have done differently with your finances, let's say 15, 20 years ago?
Save, and save. I know you and I had a conversation earlier. It's like, when you're 18 or even younger than that, you've got these odd jobs, babysitting, going to people's houses and cleaning. I mean, even it's little amounts, but as long as, or whatever, birthday money, Christmas money, all that. Why wasn't someone there then saying, hey, why don't you put that away? Why don't you put that in savings? And so that there, where my kids are now, where at the age they're at, any birthday money, put it away. At least put $100 in your checking account, savings account. Yes, buy something for yourself, but put $100 or something in your checking account. Build that savings, put $1,000 in there. So that's the one thing I think I wish I could have done in the past, was all that free money that we were getting as kids. Just save it.
Michelle, you're awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. And I know that you were nervous initially, but this is fine. You did awesome.
This is actually pretty good. Not bad.
So, I want to thank you for coming on the Practice Impossible podcast. Hopefully you have inspired others, not only doctors, but also team members and also other medical assistants and nurses and kids out there who might be listening to the podcast.
Hope so.
Because, this is what we do. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the podcast, share it with a friend, and keep practicing impossible. See you in 2 weeks.